Hi, this is Heidi from Future Catalyst. Do follow us on Twitter if you care to learn more. I wanted to talk to you today about our ability to be anything that we want to be in the world. But in order for us to be whoever we want to be in the world, we need to be able to embrace our own vulnerability, because actually for us to embrace our vulnerability means that we are open to learning new things. Now, when we talk about innovation, we often talk about skill set, or I often get the question, well, is innovation a skill set? Is it a mindset? What is innovation? Well, innovation is the tool of an entrepreneur, and to become an entrepreneur, you need to be able to do a number of steps before you can become an entrepreneur, in my personal opinion. You can't just step into the shoes without embracing, first of all, the learner within yourself. Because if we want to be innovators, we first have to learn the rules of the game. We first have to understand that we may have to follow people who have passion, who have talent for something, and to approach that with an openness of mind. So we have followers and learners. So as individuals, we start out in our young life. We start out as followers or learners. We follow people who are able to give us something that may help us to become better people. But being a follower or being a learner is not just about your beginning of your career. Being a learner or a follower should last throughout your career, because you always have areas of your life where you may not have natural strengths, you may not have talents, you may have curiosities about things, but you may not know enough about things. So in order for us to be good entrepreneurs, we first of all have to do the first layer of the onion, and that is recognize ourselves as followers or learners, and to be comfortable with that. Because, as I said, in order for you to be vulnerable, in order for you to be a good learner, you need to be vulnerable. You need to be able to say, I don't know enough about this, or I want to learn more about this. It's about unlocking your curiosity. Vulnerability unlocks curiosity. If you don't have vulnerability, you have no curiosity. And as you can see, there's two circles on this page. One is the circles which I believe, we all have the possibility to become. We all have the possibility to become better learners, better followers, and so on, to start growing ourselves as human beings. I do, however, work with people who I would call non-learners, people who are struggling with their own vulnerability, who struggle to take new information in, people who think they may know the right answer but are not open to new ways of thinking, and who haven't yet unlocked their vulnerability in learning different things about the world that they live or work in. So I would see that group as a very separate group. And actually, as a consultant, I find that group very difficult to work with, if I'm honest, because you cannot. I always say the only thing I can ask for as a consultant is an open mind, right? Anything else is blind compliance. I cannot unlock somebody's learning potential without the person recognizing that they need to become vulnerable and they need to become curious about the world around them. So working with non-learners is very hard because they are closed to new ways of thinking. But as I said, I am a strong believer that we all have the opportunity and the possibility to grow as human beings. And in order to grow, we need to recognize our vulnerability and become better learners. When we become better learners, when we gain experience through being better learners and better followers, we slowly build up our own knowledge and we become mentors to others. We can become mentors to others. Because when we've learnt enough for ourselves, and this is not about being a perfectionist by any means, I always say the best mentors are the people who have learned something new recently. As soon as you go into the remit of being a specialist, you find it more difficult to speak to your followers or your learners, because you start talking over people's heads if you're not careful. The best mentors are the people who have just learned something themselves and who have the confidence to pass it on immediately to somebody else. And that becomes very important in a very complex environment. And this is what, in many ways, this is what social media is about. You know, when we see people's behaviors in social media, people either are natural sharers or people are observers. They don't interact with social media. When you are ready to be a follower of someone, the first thing you do is you follow them and you take in the information that that person gives to you, whether that's via Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. You follow the person and then you gradually take in the information that that person gives to you. The next level of engagement with any kind of learning activity, including social media, is that people start to interact with the information by making comments or sharing the information. At this stage is mainly sharing the information. People are usually at this point not creating their own materials. People are actually wanting to curate and share information that other people have shared with them. So that's what I mean by being a mentor. A mentor actually is someone who shares other people's knowledge and is a pioneer to the thinking of someone who they admire or they feel inspired by. So the next layer of the onion really is people who are happy to be mentored, who are happy to share information with other people, and who are happy to pioneer other people's thoughts and inspirational quotes and those kind of things. So those are your sharers. People share things. The next layer of the onion is where you reach the stage of growth where you know the rules, you know how the world works, you know you can hold two contradicting thoughts in one in your mind. You can hold two contradicting thoughts in your mind, and you can use those to bring them together and innovate something new. Also, that's the arena of the entrepreneur. The arena of the entrepreneur is about sharing, yes, but it's about creating more importantly. You create something new that makes something else obsolete. Innovators or entrepreneurs generally sit within small organizations. The reason being is that as soon as an organization becomes too big, you actually curtail the creativity of the people that work for you. But to me, entrepreneurship is also a state of mind, and I have worked with entrepreneurs inside of organizations who are doing amazing pieces of work and who are strong enough to stand up for what they believe in, because it takes a lot of strength to be an entrepreneur in an organization. And it also takes a lot of bravery to be an entrepreneur in an organization. The reason being is that because when you put an entrepreneur in the middle of an organization that is full of non-learners, what will happen is the entrepreneur will get shot. Okay, there's no two ways about it. They will be marginalized, they will be shunned, they will be eventually they will be excluded completely from any kind of work or interaction with people, and they may as well be shot, because an entrepreneur or an innovator actually threatens the status quo of the non-learner. Unfortunately, large organizations paralyze in many ways our learning spirit, our curiosity, and we often find people become more and more disengaged and disillusioned and start suffering from low morale, which in itself creates the non-learner, the person who is happy to follow, who's happy to implement something unquestionably, and they themselves ask for compliance in other people, which is not very helpful, because blind compliance is actually a very dangerous thing, and actually can negatively affect a lot of people in their confidence and in their ability to be themselves and to be vulnerable. Organizations that are made up of non-learners, usually there's a blame culture. Usually there is a lot of paralysis in organizations like that, and people are frightened. People are fearful of being vulnerable, so therefore they stop being learners, they stop being mentors, they stop being entrepreneurs, and they just, as they say, you just fit into the box. So in order for me to say to you, well, what does it take to be an innovator? What does it take to be an entrepreneur? I will always give the advice to people. First of all, make sure you have an open mind. An open mind comes from recognizing your own vulnerability. And once you have that, once you recognize that it's okay to be a follower, it's okay to be a learner, it's okay not to know something, it's okay to make a mistake, because actually, only with mistakes can we reach success. There is no such thing as success without failure. Failure is a part of success. Only when we recognize that will we unlock the door for us to become, innovators and entrepreneurs, and become stronger in our conviction of what we believe is the right thing for us, And this is surprisingly closely linked to our identity, because if we don't believe in ourselves, then we will rather believe something that somebody else tells us, and it can leave us very vulnerable in many ways to other people's influences, and you become somebody else's servant, really. So hold on to your dreams, because actually, if you recognize your vulnerability, you have the potential. Every single person has the potential to become an entrepreneur or an innovator. And the more we can unlock this kind of these layers, the more we can unlock these layers within people, within organizations, the more we will create an environment in which people are freer to innovate and to create new things and to be less fearful, and to be more confident. So don't despair. Recognize your own vulnerability. Be curious about things around you. Feel inspired by people. Seek out the people that inspire you. And that's not always the people's nearest to you. Sometimes you find people that inspire you, through social media and through videos and through different ways of communicating. So the people that inspire you are not always the people that sit on your doorstep. Actually, they may be further afield, but thanks to technology, people can be found on the internet, which is a great tool to find people that you want to be inspired by. So go out there and find somebody that inspires you and start sharing your knowledge with other people. Don't be afraid to. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Until you start sharing, you don't start building your own confidence. So just go for it. Just do it and, see what happens. And I'll see you at the other end. As entrepreneurs, we will come together and we will innovate together, and I look forward to it. Okay.